Luka Dončić has gone to Spain for secret hamstring treatment, but is it a good idea for him to try to rush back? That is next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for joining us on Locked On Lakers. I'm Brian Kamenetzky. No Andy Kamenetzky for one more day. He is still in mourning after the events of last week, but kind enough to join us for today's programming. Harrison Faigen, the great Harrison Faigen from SB Nation, also a noted hamstring specialist. So we're very excited to have Dr. Faigen joining us for today. Has this been one of those times where you suddenly find yourself doing a lot more Googling about body parts than you typically might? No judgment.
I did have to remind myself of where the oblique was when the Austin Reeves injury came out, because we can't ever just say ribs or abs or, whatever. It's always got to be it was the fourth quadrant of his upper right triagonal oblique, and
was it the Warriors who started kind of pioneered that? We're okay, fine, we'll give you disclosure, but we're going to do it in ways that are so incomprehensible that you won't understand what we're saying. But at least we're telling you about the injury.
It's sort of the basketball version of the thing that hockey does, where they're just it's a lower body injury. It's well, what does that mean? What's the lower body? What is considered the lower body?
The belly button.
Yeah. Where do all teams draw the lower body line at the same place? And it's it's always an adventure in the NBA, but I think especially with the Lakers, where it's Marcus Smart is day to day for 2 weeks, and Luka is in Spain, which is where I've been with the S being silent since all this news came
out. Do want to let people know that today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. So the news on this is interesting. We obviously Luka getting hurt, and there's been tremendous controversy, which there will still be, about the idea of whether or not the Lakers, and JJ Redick royally screwed up by even allowing him to play in the second half of this game. JJ sort of continued to defend the decision, saying there was nothing unusual about what Luka was doing, and all their metrics about how much he was jumping and running and leaping and all these other things. Nothing was unusual. He had grabbed at that hamstring, but he had also Luka's been grabbing body parts for 2.5 months. So
yeah, that
part of it wasn't necessarily new. Before we jump into Luka in Spain and what that says about maybe the training staff, and then larger issues about the wisdom of even trying to get back this season with that kind of injury. Where are you on the blame question? Is there someone to blame for this, or is it just really bleepy bad luck?
I think it's more the latter. I mean, as much as I will preface this by saying I think JJ is actually a pretty good coach. His personality annoys me though, and so normally I would be predisposed to just be this is your fault, podcast boy. You don't know.
You work with Anthony all the time, so you're used to having people who are personalities who are kind of annoying.
That's what I mean. I'm used to a condescending podcaster, and so I think that's why JJ with too much gel in his hair. So I think that's why JJ probably rubs me the wrong way a little bit. But I will say I don't really see any way to reasonably blame this on him unless your argument is just the Lakers should have totally thrown in the towel in the second half of OKC. I don't know what he's supposed to do there. Even in blowout games, starters play some token amount of minutes to see if they can make a run and see if they can get it close and whatever. And again, this obviously worked out about as badly as it possibly could have, but I have a hard time blaming JJ and the medical staff really for this one. The Austin Reeves one is the one that I really again, I don't really blame JJ for that. I'm I just have questions about the medical staff and all of why was he allowed to go back in and play if you've already done an MRI on this spot? And it's I can see on TV that he's grabbing it every single time he moves. Why is he still out there in a 30
Did they do they didn't do the MRI They hadn't MRI'd that yet, right?
They
went out,
had, because they did it in Dallas. And
right, but that was after the injury.
oh,
Like
you're right. Yeah.
he hurt
They
himself.
got the Dallas right
Although
afterwards, yes.
in Dallas, this is my favorite. Like they can't even catch a break. Like Dallas MRI'd the wrong spot.
Yeah.
Like, and they had to go back and do it again. Like,
I love that JJ made sure to point that out too. He's like, yeah, the Mavs doctor sucked too. He's like, gave a thumbs up to the training staff off screen. Thanks.
My theory with that one is like they knew what happened to him and they were like, look, it is what it is. It's probably not going to get worse. If you can handle the pain, you can go play, because tomorrow you're not going to be able to move. So we'll see. I mean, that is, again, just my theory. But when the news broke that Luka was already off to Europe to try and hasten the healing here, it was, conveniently 4 minutes after stopped recording for Monday's show. So I love it.
That's rough.
I hate when that happens.
There's been a couple of those I remember where we've gone back and re-recorded because it was big enough news. Like this is definitely like you can save that and hit it the next day, but it isn't.
I thought about it, or I thought about doing no, but I'm like, no,
it's still going to be there. There's not a game today.
I have 2 times the workload with Andy out of town. It's already going to take me a year I'm not going back. But there was some of the speculation was that Luka was upset with the medical staff, and like he consulted, everybody got together and consulted, and he's like, screw you guys. I'm going to Europe to find better doctors. And, I saw some of that chatter, but I mean, I think the reality is just more that you can do, more freaky stuff in Europe than you can in America. They have fewer restrictions and fewer regulations around things like injection therapies and stuff like that in Europe than they do in the US, particularly around stem cells, for any number of reasons that we don't need to get into here. But like, I mean, locked on things that I don't want to get in trouble for.
Locked on how this video got demonetized.
Right. It's already, look, I'm not doing anything to demonetize anything, given what is, happened to all of us for, potential, second round, maybe even an upset into the third round.
Yeah,
nobody comes out ahead in this. So
yeah,
I don't see anything suspicious or distrustful about needing to go to Europe. A lot of guys have done it basically for this reason, because you just have a little bit more flexibility in what you're allowed to do.
Yeah, that was my instant takeaway. I actually hadn't seen the take that it was like maybe he's fed up with the Lakers medical staff. I can sort of understand why Luka fans would be concerned about that, or maybe hypersensitive to it, given like that we've heard part of the reason that he's not in Dallas anymore is because he had clashes with the Mavs over who should and shouldn't be on the training staff, and who should and shouldn't be giving him medical and conditioning advice and whatever. So I can see how a gut reflex would be like, oh, like he's just saying this Lakers staff sucks and he's going to go get his own people. But I think it's 100% more, a lot. Yeah. Even maybe there is like a kernel of truth to that, but I think it's a lot more, 99% of it. My guess is that, it's like they always say, like Europe is the land of freedom, and you could do whatever medical stuff you want to your body there. Maybe you'll get like a cybernetic leg.
They take a syringe and fill it with ABBA, and they just inject it right in there. Is all the techno you can handle in the beats.
I was reading up on like what this treatment that he's probably getting, they're saying it would entail, and it's like it's someone using an ultrasound to like target the specific damaged areas of the hamstring and like inject things into that. And I'm like, oh man, that's like, there's no way my insurance is covering that. Like,
we'll get to that. This, at the very least, is going to hit his out-of-pocket maximum for 2026.
He's set for the year.
He can get as many tests now as he wants. So I want to ask the larger question here about whether or not all of this even makes sense. Because if this were a broken wrist or something, we might be talking about it. But hamstrings are unpleasant places to be. And so I want to talk about whether or not it even makes a lot of sense for Luka to try to come back if it means rushing. And we'll get to that next. Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting empty. And when the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit with what you're looking for. That's skills, experience, and location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute that we'll be talking about this, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of Locked On Lakers will get a $75 job sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast. Let them know. And support Locked On Lakers by saying you heard about Indeed on this show. So Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire. This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Locked On Lakers also brought to you by Wayfair. Harrison, Wayday is here, as if I needed to tell you. And if you've been thinking about upgrading your space, this is the time to do it. We're talking about some of the best deals of the year on furniture, decor, and outdoor essentials. That's where we get a lot of our stuff. Front and back of the house, filled with Wayfair. Everything you need, though, to refresh your home. During Wayday, Wayfair is offering up to 80% off with fast and free shipping on everything, making it easy to find pieces that fit your style and your budget. Best experience I had with Wayfair, we had something that came and it got damaged on the way, no fault of theirs. And we just like, can you just fix this like little part that we have? And they're like, no, just forget it. We'll send you another one. Like it was so smooth and so easy. Super easy to filter your choices by size, price, whatever it might be. You're not wasting your time scrolling. Reviews and photos help you feel confident with what you're getting. And like I said, great customer service. So Wayday is the sale to shop the best deals in home. We're talking about 80% off with fast, up to 80% off with fast and free shipping on everything. Head to wayfair.com April 25th through the 27th to shop Wayday. That's wayfair.com, Wayfair.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. I don't know if any of this is going to work. I mean, like, is this stuff like super duper effective? I don't know. I mean, Kobe went over to Europe to get the injections and all that kind of stuff back when it was sort of an unusual thing. We all remember when Dennis Schroeder sent LeBron to the LeBron James of feet. And I hope this guy is a LeBron James of hamstrings. So like this is a pretty common thing to go do right now, like as we just discussed in the first segment, because you just have more things at your disposal. Athletes are rich, teams are rich, they want their players to play. The bigger question to me is any of this a good idea? You have your franchise player coming back from an injury that is, to say the least, a tricky one to manage. We've seen what's happened to a guy like Peyton Watson, who is a young fellow compared even to Luka. Grade 2 hamstring strain, came back for like a week, hurt it again. He's back. Like Aaron Gordon's had recurrence trouble with this. A hamstring strain kind of derailed James Harden's career, knocked him down from like super elite to just regular elite. Is it a good idea in your mind, Harrison, for Luka to even try to come back faster from something like this?
As someone who is not a doctor, I would defer to like the medical people on that. And like,
That's
if they're
fair.
willing to
Does it
clear
make
him,
you comfortable that he'd be trying to come back faster?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sort of okay with it because for me, it's one of these things where, he's under contract with the Lakers long term. Like they're obviously both them and Luka have every interest to have every reason to be invested in his long term health. And so I think this is one of these things where, if they're worried about it, like, I don't think that he's going to play. I think this is an effort to play. And I think that, like, if they feel like he can go out there and give it a go and isn't going to be limited and isn't going to be at like too much, or obviously you're never at no risk of re-injuring it. But if he's not going to be at too much risk of re-injuring it, or, if the re-injury would most likely just be another strain that then sort of knocks him out for off-season chunks, like I can see why a competitor like Luka would want to give it a shot and sort of leave no stone unturned and just be like, hey, like, I feel like even if I'm at, whatever percentage that I can still give this team an advantage. And the West is, it's not wide open this year, but I feel good about our shots against anybody. Yeah, the way that we were playing, I think Austin will be back by then. Like, I think that, me and this team, I want to give us a real shot. And that's sort of admirable in a way. But yeah, I'm not that worried about it, because I just don't see any way that how many times have we heard about like stars and teams getting broken up because the star no longer trusts the medical staff? I just have a hard time believing that, like, for this season and this team that, like, the Lakers clearly didn't even really believe in, they didn't invest in it at the deadline all that much, other than the Luka Kennard deal, like, that they would be like, hey, Luka, we really need you out there. Like, these gate receipts are like
new starting point guard, Luka Kennard.
Yeah. Yeah, look, Luke Kennard, triple-double every game he starts at point guard.
He has 16 rebounds.
Yeah. Luke Barkley, they're calling him.
That's insane.
Yeah. He said, you need me to fill in for Luka? Say less.
I mean, I knew he was a good rebounder for his position and his size, but like, damn. Here's the thing that I think is that spooks everyone, though, is, it's not just that hamstrings. It's also, you look around the league and, we might have a chance to talk about this, but like, Anthony Edwards now looks much more like a question mark, not just for the end of the regular season, but an injury that might linger into the playoffs. Another thing that, by the way, broke about, 2 hours after we finished recording the Monday afternoon segment, which was all about why Houston is a better matchup. So the basketball gods are really screwing with my program here in ways that I don't appreciate. But everybody's hurt. Like, everybody has been hurt. Nobody's been able to stay healthy. Jake LaRavia is going to be third-team All-NBA just because he's one of the 11 players in the league who's eligible for the award. But I also think the Halliburton example from last year, where he comes back and he's playing on a sore calf and all this other stuff, and he ends up snapping his Achilles. He's out for the year. The threat of a long-term injury for Luka, and I don't know. You're right. I don't know if those two things are like super related. If he came back faster, would it be a 5% chance, a 2% chance, an 8% chance? Of a full tear or something like that would necessitate surgery, whatever it might be. I think that prospect of doing something that would not just undermine the dim hopes that you have for this year, but really mess with next year. And given that, I think they could have maybe upset San Antonio in a second round if they could hold on to that 3 seed, just because San Antonio is still a bit of a playoff unknown. 2 of the 3 games they played against Oklahoma City this year, they've gotten not just beaten, but destroyed, absolutely annihilated. And I don't know if that trend was going to change in a Western Conference final or a second round matchup. So I think I am speaking for the fan who is extraordinarily nervous that they're going to do something that's going to hurt next season, not just this season.
Yeah, honestly, you may have swayed me. Like, you made a good case that it just may not be worth it this year. And like, what are you, if you do think about it, what are you bringing him back for? Do you have confidence that like him coming back along with Austin coming back, both of them fresh off injuries, are going to be able to like recapture that magic that they had sort of found in March, that it's sort of dubious whether or not that was going to really translate to the playoffs anyway, given like the state of March basketball in the NBA, that their like number one priority is making it more competitive. And then we're like, the Lakers went 15-1. Like, are they a contender? And yeah, like I think they showed some stuff and I think they look good, but I sort of agree with you that I don't think that they were going to win a title this year, barring some real luck. And maybe that's just what you're setting yourself up for. Like, what if, OKC and San Antonio both get hurt and you're cruising into the second round somehow? Like, is it
no, totally. And that's, I was going to say, allow me to totally contradict the framing that I just had is, I mean, with Oklahoma City, it might take 3 or 4 twisted ankles, but stuff happens is the point. Like, weird things happen. Guys get hurt. Yeah. Luka gets sick for game 3. All kinds of things happen. And if you are there, and the Lakers were playing extremely well, if you are there, you have a chance to get through. So, I mean, I think in thinking through this, the other thing that I think plays towards being very conservative. Look, if enough people sign off on it, so be it. But after the break, I'll tell you why I think the Lakers, one more reason why the Lakers should probably default to a conservative direction rather than something more aggressive. So we'll do that next. Locked On Lakers brought to you by Gametime. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena, the crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part's not always so simple. That's why Gametime has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. Puts the advantage where it belongs with the fans. In our house, we use Gametime for soccer tickets mostly with, Galaxy or LAFC or Angel City, or if you're buying tickets for my 7-year-old, Disney on Ice. I love the all-in upfront pricing, so I get to check out and I know exactly what I'm going to pay. There's no surprise, where'd that $40 come from. I like that. The kids like the fact that they can see the seats from the app and they know exactly what the view is going to look like. So everybody wins. I also like that I can get deals last second, get in for a little less money. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets for the NBA or anything with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. I don't think he's going to be able to do this fast enough. I mean, even if you can shave, 2 weeks off of, a 6 to 8 week timeline, that people talk about with this, 4 to 6 at the earliest, you're still talking 3 weeks, and 3 weeks is probably game 3, give or take, something like that. Maybe even game 4. I don't know what you're going to rush Luka back in a 3-1 series or something. I don't know. But the other thing is, if this was a team that you could expect to look the way it basically does next year, Denver 2 years ago, San Antonio right now, San Antonio could lose in the second round. Basically the same teams coming back next year. If the Lakers were building something with this roster, then I would say, okay, it might be worth just pushing through and getting the run. That's likely not going to happen. Does that impact your thinking at all? The fact that this is not a team that is likely to come back in this form next year?
Yeah, I think that I don't know that it impacts my thinking all that much in this sense, just because, I mean, I don't know what the benefit is if they were bringing all the guys back of rushing him back. I guess it's
just to get the experience and the continuity. You see what it looks like maybe in a playoff series, where the shortcomings might be, just something like that. So you can build on it more directly for next year.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's my thinking.
I just don't think that, I don't know that we need the playoffs to tell us what the flaws of this team are.
True.
I'm just I think they've been fairly self-evident all year. They need a more reliable Marcus Smart. They need probably a starting center upgrade on DeAndre Ayton. They need some more wings, to pair around Austin and Luka, and all that's going to cost a lot of money, which is why this is probably not going to be the team that is coming back next year, because it's going to require the Lakers to eat into all that cap space and try to, make the best moves that they can for, big name guys, and then also fill in the margins. And I just don't see a lot of these guys being back under those circumstances. Rui's not waiting around for the Lakers to finish using their books to take the minimum or the, whatever, the biannual, whatever it is, to come back. He's going to go somewhere else. It's sort of one of my theories of the NBA that served me well, when trying to predict free agency, is most of the time guys are not going to come back for a discount. They will go somewhere else and try to prove you wrong for a discount if the market is dictating that they need to take less money, but they're not going to come back and make less money. And so I do think that this team will look different next year. And so I agree with that part. I'm just not sure that we need a playoff run to sort of know where the weak points in this team are. We know what Austin and Luka need around them. And so at that point, it's how much, Luka is not going to convince me that he's all of a sudden a 3-and-D player because he comes back and like looks pretty good. And
no, it's not. It's not
that's
that.
what you're suggesting, but
it's not that. But it like if nothing else, I mean, like the combo of AR and and Luka in a playoff setting. Whether or not it makes sense to, if you can find the right number, to bring LeBron back. And this prospect that has gone from like, oh, absolutely not, from both sides to, well, this might actually be the best option that anybody has from both sides. Because this is a topic that we'll all have plenty of time to get into, but like what you just laid out in terms of finding these wings and doing all this stuff is like, it is an enormous undertaking. It is going to be very expensive. How much do you think, like if I say, like Reeves is going to get close to 40 mil at this point, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would be sorry. I think it would have to be like he was awful in the playoffs for that to not happen. In which case, that's not really a good problem for you to have. It's like, hey, should we overpay this guy that we're really not sure about in the playoffs? Or is some other team going to come in and like sort of take him for nothing? I don't think you get better by losing Austin Reeves for nothing. So.
No, you can't you can't be nothing. Like and I think the Lakers wanted this second sample of him in the playoffs. I think they really went. And Austin, I think, really would have loved the opportunity to be like, just, what, let's put this to bed. I can play in the playoffs. It's not a problem. And now everybody is going to be a little bit concerned, not just about the performance, but also about the injury risk, just because he's closer to 30 than he is, 20. And his playing style is one that is sort of predicated on taking a lot of physical abuse. But like the other guy, like you mentioned Rui. How much money is Rui getting in the new, like the cap, all that's going up, teams have some cap space and all that kind of stuff. But on the flip side is like, we live in a very different universe about how teams are going to spend money. What is Rui Hachimura worth on the new open market? I have no idea.
I think that's sort of the Lakers' bet with not being that worried about having all these guys that are free agents is that, like you aren't going to be able to hold us over the barrel to get 20 million because there's no way anyone's offering you that on the open market. So like we can make a competitive offer using your bird rights. We can offer you more than like the mid-level if we want to, but we're going to let you go out there and see that these like lucrative, these giant numbers that you want from us are not out there. Like, I don't know where Rui values himself or if he sees himself getting the same level of contract, going into this free agency.
I'm terrible at this game.
Yeah, I mean, like, that would be funny. He's like, I just hope I'm in the league next year. Like, just self-confidence.
He's better than that.
Yeah. But like, who is going to offer him that money? Because you mentioned the teams with cap space, and most of those, as you're aware, are bad teams. Mm-hmm. And so, are they like are the Nets offering Rui like the contract that he wants to come and be like, I guess, like, I don't know, like backup Michael Porter Jr. for them, like around him. And so I just don't know where the money is at for a lot of these guys, which is why I think, honestly, we may see some of the guys with like player options, like opting in.
Oh, I think Ayton is 100% guaranteed to opt in. I think that would be surprised. It's like, who just opted in? It's like, was it DeMar or like Zach LaVine recently?
It was Zach LaVine. Yeah.
It's like for $47 million.
Zach LaVine was like, I don't think I'm getting $47 million a year on the open market this summer.
I'm gonna go ahead.
It's so funny to pick it up at the end of the season. You're not even wet. It's like, I don't want to take any chances on like faxes not going through once we're not in a different area.
One of my favorite NBA stories is the one where like Westbrook got that extension offer and like didn't sign it right away. Like, do you know how like just rich you have to be and comfortable in life to have like $200 million extension or 250, whatever it was? I forget the number, but like he waited like a couple days or something like that. I would like stop moving.
I would be sprinting to a FedEx if the internet was out.
No, I wouldn't sprint. You sprint, you could hurt yourself. You fall down, you get hit by a car. Anything bad. Bad things can happen when you sprint. You walk very slowly, or have your lawyer fax it to send it to you over the phone or whatever. I can't imagine that. But the answer to that Rui question in a lot of ways, I think, like you say, kind of plays to how the Lakers handle the offseason, because they're going to go out and try to find these players out of a very limited pool. I don't think, for example, they can pay enough to pry Watson away from Denver. Maybe Denver lets him go. I do not think they'll let him go to the Lakers. And so, that there's, Lou Dort may be available. Maybe you can, but like, I just don't know where you're going to find some of these players. But if the market for the players that they already have isn't that strong, they can kind of run it back. Nobody will like it, but they can sort of run it back with the same team they've got now, more or less, with a few small improvements, and lean into that 15-2 run and say, you know what, we figured it out. This team's pretty good. And so rather than doing something stupid, we'll try this. I mean, I could see them doing that, even while everybody wants to see something bigger.
Yeah, I just have a hard time believing that they would do the run it back thing unironically again. You know,
I don't think they'll do it on purpose. I just think they might.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to some degree, their hands may be tied because, like, I agree with you that Ayton is going to pick up that player option. No one's offering him. I mean, no, somebody would offer him the minimum, but like nobody's offering him more than he's making.
Nobody's going to give him 3 and 30.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody's giving him a multi-year deal. They're like, no, we already saw like you're on like basically a 1-year deal and you weren't on your best behavior the whole year. Like,
DeAndre Ayton should be on an hourly, I think, is what most PMs think.
DeAndre Ayton, only NBA player who has to clock in and
it's
clock
a good
out.
Hourly. It's, $15,000 an hour or whatever it is, but he clocks in every day, and that's what he got to do.
Like, DeAndre, you didn't fill out your timesheet, okay?
No overtime.
Yeah,
we're not doing time and a half.
Accounting is on me again. Can you get that sheet to them?
He's a 1099 employee. Can I write that off? And so you're right. I mean, he's going to pay. I think with Smart, I think they'll come to some agreement where they give him 3 years and 22 million or 25 million, some number that everybody agrees with, just because his value to this team is so significant. It's just this timing of all this really was awful, even beyond the playoff implications for it. Harrison has been kind enough to agree to stick around for the afternoon segment as well, in which we want to break down the performance of JJ Redick at a time when JJ is maybe being held over the coals by Lakers fans, given all the injury stuff that's happened in the large minutes that he played, guys, leading up to the injuries. Locked on Lakers on YouTube is where you can hang out with over 38,000 subscribers to the channel. We'll see everyone later in the day.